Finished the match with 10 men, but for once it wasn't us. 3 points in the bag, 2 goals scored, 0 satisfaction. A win in the Bernabéu that felt not right. You'd think a clean sheet and 2 goals would be cause for celebration, but this felt like ordering your favorite dish and realizing halfway through they forgot the seasoning.
From the heart of Madrid, where passion meets purpose.
It was a legacy built by legends and a future written by rising stars.
Let's begin where it all starts, the lineup. What looked like a 4-3-3 on paper was anything but on the pitch.
So we saw a 4-3-3 on paper. Cute. On the pitch, it morphed into a 3-5-2 faster than you can say Camavinga is still injured. Alonso went into patchwork mode, crafting a formation that looked decent on a tactics board, and it did work a bit, just a bit, in recent matches. The theory was noble: let wingbacks fly, release the box-to-box beasts, and maybe, just maybe, balance out the left-sided chaos. But theories don't win football matches. This structure allows more flexibility, wingbacks overlapping, less dependency on double pivots, more freedom for the box-to-box midfielders, and even some hope of balancing out the natural left-sided tilt. But the dream of tactical harmony quickly dissolved under the weight of miscommunication and positional chaos. Well, I will talk about these things later. Now let's move to the backline, the zone where chaos meets calm depending on who's holding the ball. Enter Rudiger and Huijsen, Real Madrid's version of not bad, not great. Huijsen had his adventurous overlaps into midfield, because why not, and both alternated in starting the build-up. They tried to hold the line, but when Sevilla sent numbers forward, it got messy. Real messy.
Asensio on the right was the unsung hero. No frills or grind. Covered for the ghosts of Rodrigo and Güler, bossed the air and gave orders like a defensive captain with a side gig in customer service. He was also the loudest defender on the pitch, which isn't an insult. Real Madrid could use more vocal leaders back there. Fran Garcia let loose on the left and had more license to join attacks. He even found himself one-on-one inside the Sevilla box after an overlap in the 27th minute, only to fire it straight at Vlogodimos.
Tchouaméni's game? Basically holding Madrid's midfield together with tape, prayer, and sheer brilliance. He dropped into the backline, mopped up the midfield mess, and still found time to dominate duels.
This man is the engine, the glue, and the alarm system. But this system also exposes him, because the second he moves out of position to plug a midfield gap, the free zone behind him becomes open bar for the opposition. Problem? When Tchouaméni stepped up, Sevilla waltzed into his zone like they had VIP passes. Valverde, Camavinga, and Bellingham might feel that danger and adjust, but the likes of Güler, Rodrigo, or Ceballos, that's a no. There were also some mistakes from Tchouaméni during the match when he couldn't react quickly enough during some of Sevilla's attacks. Still, he finished the game with a 100% success rate in tackles and aerial duels. Just another day keeping everything together.
Let's talk about the duo in the middle who ran and wrestled with tactical identity: Bellingham and Güler. Bellingham, Madrid's Energizer Bunny, tireless, fearless, and finally, a long-awaited goal from a set piece, a beautiful cross from Rodrigo. He was everywhere, from chasing back to recover the ball in Madrid's third to popping up in Sevilla's box minutes later. Operated mainly on the left half space and kept things vertical. Meanwhile, Güler looked like someone who signed up for jazz class and got dropped into a wrestling ring. Playing deep, tracking back, pretending to be a pivot, it's like giving Picasso a paint roller and telling him to do drywall. A lot of people are blaming him for disrupting the balance, but who else connects better with Mbappé and can complement Bellingham in this squad? Nobody. He's doing what he can, out of position, and with 0 complaints. Rodrigo ran the hardest and defended the most, made 9 recoveries, yes, 9, and drew the penalty that sealed the deal. He played more as a hybrid RW-RM, helped stretch the play, covered the right flank in the absence of Valverde, and drifted centrally at times to confuse Sevilla's defense. He wasn't spectacular, but his effort, off-ball running, and tactical awareness were key to Madrid staying composed. Vinny Jr. wore the armband and then ran head-first into defenders all night. He did create some chances, but none with teeth. Well, except for the pass he sent to Mbappé, but the finishing was not good enough. The Santiago Bernabéu crowd made their feelings known in the very first minute of the match, whistling at Vinicius Jr. as he touched the ball.
It's like Sevilla read the script beforehand. Spoiler alert, they did. And for all the emotion and energy he brings, he continues to dribble into blind alleys with minimal passing awareness. The overlaps? Ignored. The cutbacks? Non-existent. He finished the match with a decent 7.5 rating according to Managing Madrid, but clearly that didn't match the Bernabéu's expectation.
The stage was set. His birthday, 59 goals in the year, Ronaldo's record in sight. It should have been a night of unadulterated joy and vindication. And yes, he did score. But let's be honest, this wasn't vintage Mbappé. This was frustration wrapped in expectation. He had 9 shots, 9, and still needed a penalty to finally get on the score sheet. 2 of those opportunities were big chances that he simply didn't convert. As hard as he worked, as much as he tried to force the magic, the finishing just wasn't there. I felt like the pressure of matching his idol's record made his feet heavier instead of lighter, almost as if the mind was racing faster than the legs, and in the end, it cost him those simple, clear moments where a composed striker would have buried the ball. He dropped deep repeatedly, trying to help and build up play or find space between the lines, which sounds noble on paper. But when your main job is to finish and you keep vacating the penalty box, you end up creating confusion more than clarity. It left the box empty just when we needed someone to be a finishing point. That disconnect between midfield involvement and attacking end product was glaring. And yet, the team seemed to keep feeding him the ball as if he had to score just to justify his year. It turned our play into a one-dimensional funnel. Ball to Mbappé, ball to Mbappé, ball to Mbappé. But when opponents know that's the only trigger, it becomes easy to choke off. So yes, he matched Ronaldo's calendar year record. It's historic, it's headline news, but watching him tonight was a lesson in expectation versus execution, and that gulf was wider than we'd like.
In my opinion, Thibaut Courtois was the real MVP. Again, full stop. Real Madrid looked sleepy at times, especially in the first 10 to 15 minutes of both halves, and Courtois was the only one wide awake, spiritually and tactically. Sevilla knocked early and loud, and Courtois answered the door with steel gloves and reflexes sharper than a barber's razor. Let's be clear, if Courtois wasn't back there tonight, the scoreline could have flipped on its head. He bailed out a defensive line that kept dozing off, especially after half-time when Sevilla pushed higher and found too much joy in our half. This wasn't just a good performance, it was textbook Courtois, and that's exactly the problem. We've normalized him saving our skin to such a degree that we almost expect miracles every match. But here's the thing, if this man doesn't get his own trophy this season, something is broken in football. Forget MVP of the match, we're talking MVP of the season.
Okay, every player had a decent to good game, but how come the feeling of watching them was not the same satisfaction as it should be with this result? Now, let's rip the bandage off. Underneath the 3 points lies a mountain of tactical migraines. Alert, everything you're about to hear is just my take, all based on what I saw during the match. There's no concrete proof for any of it, and I'm totally open to hearing your thoughts too. 2 goals, 0 joy. 1 penalty, 1 set piece, 0 flowing team moves. And if you're wondering why this win tasted like week-old bread, here's your answer. Or rather, 5 of them.
Let's start with the basics. Win the ball back. Great. Now what? That's where the comedy begins. Instead of structured build-up, the plan looked like give it to Vini or punt it to Mbappé and pray. There were no rehearsed sequences, no timed movements, and certainly no midfield coordination, just long passes and solo efforts. Even more puzzling, Sevilla played with 10 men for the last 30 minutes, and Madrid still didn't bother trying to control possession. We had a man advantage and chose vibes over ball retention. This has become a pattern. The moment we win the ball, it's like watching a group project where nobody read the brief.
From ball progression to movement, or rather the lack thereof, here's where it all fell apart. We saw effort, not coordination, not a pressing trap, not a synchronized transition, just vibes. Remember the counterattack with only Asensio and Mbappé in Sevilla's half? Yeah, that one. It was less transition football and more where the hell is everyone else? This wasn't just an isolated glitch, it was systemic. The defenders stayed deep, midfielders jogged, and attackers ran without support. It's like we left half the team behind in the dressing room. Watch the press, or rather the absence of it. No triggers, no support runs, no hunting in packs. Every press felt like an afterthought. And offensively, players looked like they were improvising jazz while others played elevator music.
Next up, the existential crisis of our positional play, featuring pivots who aren't pivots and strikers ghosting midfield. Yes, we know there are injuries and suspensions, but even so, Güler as a defensive pivot? Mbappé coming so deep he's shoulder-checking Tchouaméni? Vinny acting like a target man? The structure looked like a set of chess pieces randomly thrown on a Monopoly board. Here's a thought. If Güler plays best as a 10 and Bellingham thrives box-to-box, why swap them? And if Mbappé is meant to finish plays, why is he the one starting them from midfield while the box stays empty? It's like trying to play Beethoven with a punk band setup. And just when you thought it couldn't get more awkward, welcome to the silent disco version of Real Madrid. Why does Mbappé keep dropping deep? Because he doesn't trust the midfielders to get him the ball? Does he think he can do it all better himself? Maybe. Why does Güler keep feeding the ball to Mbappé and ignoring options like Rodrigo? Because statistically Mbappé turns his passes into assists? Possibly. But now defenders only need to block one predictable route. Why does Vinicius keep dribbling into double-marked dead ends, ignoring left-back overlaps and refusing 1-2s? Because he believes his dribbling is a fan-favorite weapon? Sure, but how often does it work? It's like we're watching a team of independent contractors, not teammates. Nobody talks, nobody trusts, everyone operates like the rest of the team is an NPC. Finally, let's talk about the man at the center of it all and why he deserves more than just partial backing. Let's be clear, we support Xabi Alonso, fully. But support alone isn't enough. If the club truly believes in his vision, they must back him all the way, not just in speeches, but in action. What we saw in this match felt like a rebuild paused halfway through, like renovating your house and only repainting the bathroom. Tactical shifts need time, clarity, and above all, authority. Alonso can't implement real change with one hand tied behind his back. The players need to trust his plan. The fans need to be patient. And the club, they need to give him the power and time to shape this team in his image. Because you can't rewrite a team's DNA by tweaking the formation. You do it by building from the foundation and letting the architect do his job.
So, yes, we won. But we also learned, again, that stats don't equal satisfaction. This was 3 points earned with the emotional payoff of a tax refund. The scoreboard says 2-0, the pitch said, we're still confused. This team needs answers, structure, and most importantly, trust. From the players, from the staff, and from the club itself. Because right now, we're watching individuals try to play team football with no playbook. If you've survived this tactical comedy, hit that like button, drop your rants in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more truth bombs and breakdowns. The White News Tactical Comedy Edition. See you next time, hopefully with more football and fewer existential crises.